Good day, South Africa. Welcome to Spotlight Mzansi with Nick, where we bring you the latest on stories around the nation. On the night of September 3rd, 2025, Antonio Francisco Macamamo, better known as Dollarman, a Mozambican criminal mastermind and one of the region's most wanted men, was gunned down in a high-stakes police shootout near Johannesburg. This wasn't just any takedown, it was a full-on operation that saved a kidnapped businessman and dealt a serious blow to a cross-border crime syndicate. Let's dive into the details of this wild night and the man behind the infamous nickname. On September 3rd, 2025, along the R21 freeway in Kempton Park in Ekurhuleni, not far from Johannesburg, the South African Police Service's anti-kidnapping task team moved in on a target they've been chasing for months, Dollarman, the guy who had been terrorizing wealthy families with his kidnapping schemes. The cops had been piecing together clues, and they finally got a break when ransom money from a recent kidnapping was traced to Dollarman's bank accounts. They closed in, and things got intense. Just a few hours later, after the clash in Kempton Park around midnight on September 4th, the task team raided a shack in Alexandra, a township in Johannesburg. Inside, they found Mohammed Bashir Ahmed Sidat, an Indian businessman kidnapped from his business in Benoni back on July 23rd. The man was alive, but shaken by the awful experience. The police also seize a massive haul: 6 million rand in cash tied to other kidnappings, an unlicensed AK-47 rifle, and a VW Polo used in the crime. This operation wasn't just a takedown, it was a masterclass in law enforcement. According to SAPS national spokesperson Brigadier Athlenda Mate, the confrontation turned into something straight out of an action movie.
Our team managed to corner the suspect, and he then rammed into a police vehicle, and right after then a shooting ensued. He started shooting at the police. The police returned fire. He was then shot and killed during the process. Fortunately, no police officer was shot and killed during the process. Quite fortunate, you will know that on Sunday, the 7th of September, we will be paying tribute to about 27 police officers who lost their lives in the line of duty, 26 of them male and one female.
Dollarman, behind the wheel, allegedly slammed his car into a police vehicle, trying to make a break for it. He then pulled out a gun and opened fire on the officers. The police returned fire, and in the chaos on the Voortrekker Road off-ramp, Dollarman was fatally wounded. No officers were harmed, which is a testament to their training and quick thinking. So, who was this guy? Antonio Francisco Macamamo, 40 years old, wasn't just a petty crook. Known as Dollarman or Dollar, he was a big name in the criminal underworld, operating out of both Mozambique and South Africa. The nickname came from his signature move, demanding ransom payments in US dollars, a currency that moves easily in Mozambique and Zimbabwe. This wasn't a guy working alone. He was a key player in a sophisticated transnational crime syndicate that had law enforcement on both sides of the border scrambling. In Mozambique, Dollarman was on the Serviço Nacional de Investigação Criminal's most wanted list, linked to a string of kidnapping for ransom cases targeting wealthy individuals. In South Africa, his rap sheet was just as long, with at least 9 cases tied to his name. We're talking 5 kidnappings, plus charges for housebreaking, theft, carjacking, and possession of illegal firearms. His crew was methodical, scoping out rich businessmen, studying their routines, and calculating exactly how much ransom they could squeeze out. This was organized crime at its boldest. Dollarman's operation wasn't just a local problem, it was a regional one. He had deep ties to criminal networks that operated seamlessly across the South Africa-Mozambique border, taking advantage of porous borders and economic disparities. His syndicate was like a well-oiled machine, with connections that made him a slippery target for years. But the SAPS anti-kidnapping task team wasn't playing around. Since July 2021, they've arrested over 337 suspects and seized more than 146 illegal firearms across South Africa. Dollarman's death is their latest victory, and it's a big one. South Africans are calling this a game changer. The operation didn't just take out a major player, it sent a message to every criminal syndicate out there. Social media posts have been buzzing with praise for the police. The rescue of Mohammed Sidat and the seizure of that 6 million rand haul only add to the win column. Dollarman, the guy who thought he could outsmart everyone, met his match at the hands of the South African police. The anti-kidnapping task team not only took him down, but saved a man's life and seized millions in dirty money. It's a win for the good guys and a reminder that crime doesn't pay forever. Our next headline dives into a story that's hitting the nation where it hurts: the power supply. Eskom, the heartbeat of the country's electricity grid, is grappling with a massive problem. Municipalities are owing nearly 100 billion in unpaid bills. The debt is climbing faster than load-shedding complaints on a bad day, and it's putting Eskom's financial recovery and lights at serious risk. From small towns to big metros, this crisis is sparking heated debates, with most people fearing the return to unbearable load-shedding schedules experienced in the past few years. As of February 2025, municipalities across South Africa owe Eskom a staggering 98.5 billion rand. That's up from 74 billion in March 2024, and experts are warning it could hit 110 billion by the end of the financial year. To put that in perspective, that's enough money to build several new power stations. Eskom's Group Chief Executive Dan Marokane laid it out plain and simple during a December 2024 briefing to Parliament. This debt is growing by 10 billion a year, and it's a fundamental risk to the utility's ability to keep the grid humming. But who's racking up the biggest tabs? Imalaleni in Mpumalanga tops the list with a 9.9 billion debt, followed by other areas like Govan-Mbeki, Lekwa, Malutia Fofung, and Mfuleni. Even major metros aren't immune. City of Tshwane's debt shot up from 1.9 billion to 6.7 billion in just 18 months, and Johannesburg's not far behind with 1.1 billion owed. Electricity Minister Kagosiensho Ramagopa has called this a systemic issue, pointing out that municipalities often can't collect enough revenue from residents to cover their bills, thanks to mismanagement, illegal connections, and outdated systems. So how did we get here? It's a messy mix of factors. Many municipalities are stuck in a financial death spiral. 98 out of 257 were operating on unfunded budgets between 2024 and 2025, meaning they're spending money they don't have. Some are plagued by corruption or poor governance, with funds meant for Eskom being diverted elsewhere. Others simply lack the technical know-how to manage electricity distribution or chase down unpaid bills. Ramagopa dropped a bombshell in a recent statement. Once a municipal bill goes unpaid for 90 days, it's basically a lost cause, leaving Eskom holding the bag. The ripple effect is brutal. When municipalities don't pay, Eskom's cash flow takes a hit, making it harder to maintain aging power stations or invest in new infrastructure. And guess who ends up paying the price? Everyday South Africans, facing higher tariffs and the constant threat of power cuts if the system buckles. Recently, Eskom has been clawing its way back from the brink. They're forecasting a 10 billion profit for the 2024 and 2025 period, a huge leap from 2.2 billion the previous year. They've trimmed borrowings from 412.2 billion to 395.3 billion and boosted their earnings to 61.7 billion. Load shedding's been dialed back, with the energy availability factor hitting 62% in December 2024, up from 55% a year earlier. That's real progress, and South Africans are finally seeing fewer blackouts. But this progress is being threatened by the debts owed by many municipalities. This isn't just about Eskom's books, it's about people. When municipalities can't pay, they jack up electricity tariffs to cover their debts, hitting households and businesses hard. Ramagopa's warned that if the debt keeps climbing, potentially to 3.1 trillion by 2050, taxpayers will be left holding the bag. Even worse, crumbling municipal infrastructure means power outages could hit even those who pay their bills on time. But this municipal debt crisis could derail it all. The National Treasury's $76 billion injection in 2024 and $64 billion in 2025 was meant to stabilize Eskom, but the runaway municipal arrears are eating away at those gains. Chief Financial Officer Caleb Kasim has warned that without a fix, Eskom might need another bailout by 2028, which would mean taxpayers footing the bill again.